so don't worry about that. Number two, mentioned mammalian hormones. Just as a clarity, Treatmen is conjugated estrogens used for menopausal women. It's been prescribed for years. It's one of those estrogens that they're trying to cut back. Treatmen stands for, to get the name from it, is pregnant mare urine. There's a whole bunch of horses in Kentucky running around with bags collecting mare urine. They synthesize, they extract the estrogen, put it in a pill, and you swallow it. Well, none of you do. I don't. Yeah. So with that, you know, with the hormones from animal to animal to animal can have an effect. Chickens are bred so much now that they have such large breasts they can hardly walk. That's due to hormones. So milk, chickens, that type of thing are a big source of extra estrogens. Another big source of extra estrogens, oral contraceptives. But those are used to treat acne. And I know you've probably heard of people, well, they put me on the pill because it helps my acne. Oral contraceptives are two ingredients, estrogen and progesterone. It's the progesterone component that they're interested in, because the progesterone component suppresses the overproduction of the sebum. That's the one and only use for it. So it decreases the production of sebum in the patient. They still have to control all of the other ingredients. So if someone's really a user, overproducer, it may help, but it's going to take months before this starts to have an effect. Some oral contraceptives work very well with this because they've got a certain type of progesterone. So the ones you hear, orthotricycline was the first one out on the market, and a lot of these have gone generic. With that, Yasmin, Yaz, Brevia, Modicon, but there's also a whole group that have a different type of progesterone that actually will make it worse, like Nordet, Loestrin, the Orthoevra vaginal insert will actually make their acne worse for that because it works just the opposite. So it's going to increase. So again, as you're getting your young women clients settled in, where have you been? What have you been on? They may not want to tell you. Older women don't care. If you've got a teenager, she may not want mom to know, but you need to find out, are you on oral contraceptives and which brand? If you aren't sure which go, call me. I'll tell you, yeah, that's a good one, that's a bad one. Part of your problem, if you really get a sebum producer, might be they're on the wrong oral contraceptive because their OBGYN wasn't worried about the acne. They were looking at what other problems and conditions there are. When you get especially some of the older women on more mature, I don't want to say older, but then you're looking at the potential for blood clots. They shouldn't be on it past 35. They can't smoke. There's a lot of different health factors. Do they really want to be on oral contraceptives if they don't need it for sexual activity or whatever? They really need to be on that just to decrease the sebum production, because we'll do it externally. They don't have to work an internal pill, change their whole clock, all of the other consequences, the cancer problems and all that sort of stuff, just to treat that one area. So that's the area with that. Spironolactone is related, works somewhat like it. It's a synthetic steroid. First came out to use for blood pressure. It's got some diuretic properties. It does basically the same thing as oral contraceptives, just not quite as well. So they will take a woman that can't or doesn't want to be on an oral contraceptive. They can try the spironolactone. It will have some effect on the sebum, not as much. The other little benefit of both of these is the little shiny chin hairs. Sometimes this clears that up. So sometimes they get a little side benefit, or they'll use spironolactone just for the fuzzy look. They don't want to get waxed or whatever. So that's used somewhat the same way, again, for sebum production and sebum production only. They can be expensive, they can have side effects, they don't necessarily need to be used to control sebum, because we can control it the other way. Yes?
Can you comment on using your products with women with polycystic ovary syndrome?
Oh, yeah, I can. Yeah. What we found is there is very, very frequently a weakened gluten intolerance to it. There is an inflammation that is going on in their body, and hormonally it's being exacerbated, but I'll get to it as we go into the next series. I wasn't going to speak about it, but when we find somebody who has acne, and it's usually moderate to severe, they have ovarian cysts, we always pull them off gluten. And generally we get a clearing in it. It's just one of the symptoms that the inflammation of the body is at such a peak, it shows up everywhere.
And then do they have to stay off the gluten forever, or is it like a 3 or 4
Well,
month period
yes.
and then?
No, they have to stay off
Stay
forever.
off it.
Yeah. If they even make a mistake, it can be a lethal mistake. And as they get older, the mistakes become intensified. Like if I make a mistake, it's a 3-day mistake. And it goes on for 3 days with symptoms that you don't want to hear about.
So is that why, like, they would be going fine and then they have their whatever at a party, and the next day they
Yeah.
so
In fact, when we get to
it's like
gluten,
an
I'll
instant,
explain
yeah.
how difficult it is to diagnose that. That's why I'm taking 2 before it. If we can identify it as being hormonal, then good, that's it. And the next one, if we can identify it as being that, good, that's it. And if we can't, then we have to push it back into gluten inflammation. So with that in mind, I'll go to the second one. If we've eliminated, there is no hormonal pattern and there is none of that going on, then let's look at another group of people, and they're easily identifiable as well. Their acne tends to be cystic. They frequently have melia. Blackheads are common. So what you're seeing in here is a very congested skin condition going on. Sometimes they complain to you and they say, my skin is dry on the top and oily underneath. My skin is oily on the top and dry underneath. And they don't really know which it is. What they're saying is that their skin just seems to be all plugged up. And when these symptoms are apparent, then we know that they have an essential fatty acid issue. It's interesting, there's a person in the classroom today who I will not identify, who made some comments about her acne earlier in her life, which is now totally under control. And she described very, very briefly, and I said, oh, you have an essential fatty acid problem. She said, yes, I do. So somebody, somehow, she got that information, and it was dead on. And she was able to correct the essential fatty acid problem, and she no longer has acne, and she has beautiful skin.